Yeah, here's a little family of, oh, they're beautiful, aren't they? Coots. Coots are pretty strange birds because they are very suspicious. You know, mind you, they've got chicks, so they always look after their chicks. I'm just going to give it a bit of a feed so you can see what they do. Come on, Mr. Coot, where are you? Oh, there you are, ready? It actually goes down to the bottom to get the ones that I threw before, but I've got seeds, and I throw them. They're clever, because this one dives. It sees them and dives. It's feeding it. See how it's feeding its little chickies? They're Coot. And you know, the funny thing is, you might, oh, look, it got a bit scared of me there. No, don't be scared. Getting a bit nervous because I moved. But see all the seeds, I don't know if you can see them going down the bottom there. This will dive for them. Look how she's feeding her young one. She's going to retrieve it. She'll go down. Look, she's diving down. Watch those bubbles come up. She'll bring it back and feed her young'un. Aren't they clever? You know, you try to tell me that God didn't create that. You know, that God didn't give wisdom to a bird to dive down and go and get food for its young ones. I'm going to get a handful more. If you want to know why it's called a coot, I'll give you one guess. Hello, Mr. Coot. And look, you know, they use their voice to signal, and actually it used its voice to signal to me that it was here outside my window. Just bear with me for a minute while I give it some extra. I don't need to give it much more. It will spot them down the bottom and go and get them. But these seeds, they sink. Now, normally I feed, when swans come along, I feed them bran flakes that I get from Lidl for like 30 pence. You know, you get a kilogram box of bran flakes, and they're really cheap. But the strange thing is, and a lot of other breakfasts are really expensive, like, you know, Weetabix is like £2.80 a box. But bran flakes are really cheap. The odd thing is, you get a kilogram box of bran flakes for like 37 pence. And they are delicious. You know, put them in a bowl, put a bit of warm milk over them, and they are just absolutely delicious. You know, 37 pence, and you get a king's breakfast, basically. Now you look how that coot is going right down to get that. Look, it's come up with some spider web or something on its nose, on its snout, beak. Now, let me tell you, whether it's a coot or a swan or a duck, these birds are zealously protective of their young ones. The funny thing is, now I reckon you watch this bird now. I've put quite a bit down there. It's now picking from the top there. It's picking from the top. I put quite a bit of seed out there that's floating. I think it's actually had its fill, and it's fed its young'uns. And it's probably decided, okay, that's enough, because it's now wobbling off over there. Maybe it thinks I'm chuntering and it doesn't like that. But actually, I don't need to throw anything out anymore because I put plenty of seed down the bottom. If it wants to dive down, it will. And it'll spot them. It will. And what you're seeing here is duckweed. I think I did some film about this one other time. And it's just amazing how quickly duckweed will come over the canal when there's a bit of summer heat around. And when that goes, so does the duckweed. Now, watch this. Watch this. It's a coot. If you want to know why it's named a coot, replay through the video and you'll figure out why. There you are. And I haven't had any swans coming around. I have seen swans going past, but they seem to go up to where those other people are there over the other side of the canal. I don't know if you can see, because I can't see. Now I'm on the towpath side. These people across the way there are on private side. That thing's got open windows. It's probably broken down or something. Or abandoned. I don't know. A lot of abandoned boats on the canal. And there's a lot of rubbish too. You can see over there, look, these bottles and so on, you know. Oh, aren't they terrific? Coots are very timid. They won't come up. Now, swans will come right up to you. Right up. And peck at your hand while you're trying to get stuff out. Swans are brilliant. Swans are brilliant, and they're clever too. I had swans remembering from a year ago. I was on my stern, ready to move off at one time. And I felt a peck on the back of my calf. I thought, what the hell's that? And I turned around, you know, I was trying to get ready to, I was prepping up to go. And I felt a peck on the back of my calf muscle, and turned around. There's a swan right there. And I looked at it and I thought, yeah, you know who I am from the last time I was there about a year before. You know me. So it knew that I had. And coots don't like. I was going on about bran, yeah. Coots don't like bran too much. They don't like bran flakes. But swans get into a shark-like feeding frenzy about them. And I don't feed birds on bread. I won't do it because bread gives them. It's bad for their digestive system. You know, people feed them white bread and stuff. It's not good because it goes into their digestive system and it swells up. They swallow it and they drink. It swells, the bread swells up, and it constipates them and makes them, it's like colic in a horse. My sister used to tell me about horses getting colic and needing to get warm water put through irrigating them. So, you have to feed, these animals are grain eaters, maybe they'll eat worms and stuff like that, but they don't, white bread is just not good for them. I don't know why people do that. I've actually told people on the towpath, and they're throwing white bread out at them, and I'll just let them know gently, I feed them, I just tell them, I get them bran flakes, and it's like 37 pence a box. And you can feed them that. It's really good for them. It's like roughage. It's like grain for them, and it goes through them. It's like it's good for their digestion. And I'll just tell them, but white bread, and I'll explain to people why white bread will swell in their gut and give them. It's not going to kill them necessarily, but it's. Mind you, I have seen some sites where people argue differently and say that actually white bread is fine. But I don't think that way. I think, you watch what they eat. They'll eat the duckweed on the top. It's grain, it's roughage. What's the word for this? Roughage, like cellulose. There's a word for this. Roughage is a good word, but you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Whoever is listening. Well, here I am. I want to upload this mobile phone, so I'm not going to give my location away because some people might take advantage of knowing. I'm in a really great spot because there's me and a boat ahead, and there's two boats over there on the other side of the towpath, which I actually thought of mooring up over there, but I decided against. And it's a great place. It really is. I've got conveniences close by, and it's very, apart from the grot on the canal, It's quiet. There goes my hay fever, pollen and what have you getting on my chest. What was I trying to say? Yeah, it's a kind of rural, it's idyllic, it's quiet, you know. I had somebody steal a clutching pole from my roof. It was only £1. And I went and bought 3 more from the Poundland up there, and I think I might get 2 more because they're so useful. But people go past. I had one person, I was loafing around yesterday and I had some things charging up, and some kids went going past and a family and so on. This guy gets onto the back of my boat and starts poking around, looking down through the back of through my hatch. And he looked at me through the hatch, and I said, "Do you mind?" And he goes, "Oh, sorry." Well, look, I understand, you know, people get curious. I do. I've experienced it quite a lot. But this is where I live, you know. This is my hideaway. This is my getaway. I'm thinking of renaming my boat now, because I just said that. I'm not going to call it Getaway, Steal Away. I'm not going to call it the Bat Cave, as I once thought. To the Bat Cave. No. I'm not going to call it kind of serendipity, because or serenity. I thought about calling it Bolt Hole. I even thought once about naming it after that song by Little River Band, Glenn Shorrock. Now, some of you Australian guys might remember that, Glenn Shorrock and the Little LRB, the Little River Band, and that song called Cool Change. I thought about calling it Cool Change. And because my move from residential hell, where neighbours were arguing and yelling at each other, and drunken idiots were going down the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning, kicking my motorbike over. That actually happened. You know, I just can't believe how people are. But moving from that into my escape pod. I'm not going to call it escape pod. You know, it has turned me from a person who was constantly tense and anxious about actually being around people, and just wishing to God I could get away from them, to being a nature-loving, you know, look, I better split this film up a bit.